Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are going to continue our reading from Brilliant as the Sun, a retelling of Srimad Bhagavatam Canto number 8, Enchanting Pastimes. Today we will read from chapter 11, Indra destroys the Asuras. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat-Kripatamam Vande Shri Gurum Deen-Tarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hariyam Tats. Seated on Garud, Vishnu flew across the battlefield, surveying the gods' corpses. By his glance he brought them back to life. Enlivened by their lord's mystic potency, the rejuvenated celestials, headed by Indra and Vayu, charged the Asura hordes and drove them back. Expertly guiding Airavat through the carnage, Indra searched for Bali while cutting down the remaining Asura soldiers. Bali became infuriated to see Indra devastate his forces, and he raced forward to thwart the massacre. Fearing that the enraged Indra would kill their king, the Asura soldiers cried, "Alas, alas!" Bali, confident that he was well equipped for the battle, fearlessly confronted Indra, clutching his thunderbolt in hand. Indra loudly rebuked Bali. "Foolish Bali, do you think you can rob us gods with your magic tricks like a magician deceives a child? Do you not know that we gods are masters of all mystic powers? You are an unqualified scoundrel, trying to force your way into the upper planetary systems by dint of your mystic powers. I cast fool like you to the lowest region of the universe despite your magic tricks. I, powerful Indra, shall cut today off your head with my sharp-edged thunderbolt. If you can, try to find me along with your allies." Bali censured Indra in turn. Time alone determines victory and defeat. Thus the wise do not lament in loss or rejoice in victory. Your pride exposes you as a fool. Indra, saintly persons pity you gods because you ignorantly take credit for your victories. Thus, although you wish to hurt me, I do not take your harsh words to heart. Bali then fired a volley of arrows at Indra. Indra smiled tightly. Bali had a point, but that would not save him. The god hurled his infallible thunderbolt, striking Bali in the chest. The Asura king fell lifeless, and his aircraft hurled to the ground like a mountain with its wings torn off. Jambasur roared in grief and fury. Desiring to avenge his friend, he urged his lion carrier to rush Indra. Jambasur forcefully struck Indra and Airavat with his powerful club in the fierce attack. Reeling from the blow, Airavat collapsed to his knees and then toppled unconscious. Matali was nearby on Indra's chariot. He dexterously urged its 1,000 steeds forward, and Indra leapt aboard. Jambasur shouted, "Bravo, bravo, Matali! Although I admire your bravery, I cannot spare your life." With all his might, he threw a blazing trident at Matali, striking him on his shoulder. Matali reeled, his face contorted in pain, but kept hold of his reins and expertly guided the chariot. Indra angrily hurled his thunderbolt at Jambasur and severed his head. Narad had been watching the battle from the skies. He knew that Jambasur's closest friends and relatives were not involved in the fight. They cannot be told of his death, then they could no doubt follow him to the next world. Best get rid of all the troublesome Asuras as soon as possible. The sage hurried to their abode, where he saw Namuchi, Bala, and Paka leisurely passing their time, unaware of the battle. When the 3 Asuras heard the news of Jambasur's death, they quickly donned their armor and hurried to the battlefield. Ignoring the other gods, they scoured the field looking for Indra. As soon as they spotted him, they showered him with torrents of arrows, rebuking him with harsh and cruel words. While Bala simultaneously pierced Indra's 1,000 horses with an equal number of arrows, Paka released 200 shafts, smashing the chariots and severely wounding Matali. The Asura soldier cheered as Namuchi bore down on Indra, injuring him with 15 golden feather arrows that boomed like thunderclaps. Enlivened by his turn of events, many of other Asura generals collectively bore down on Indra, covering him as clouds covered the sun in the rainy season. When the other gods whom the Asura soldiers were relentlessly oppressing could no longer see Indra, they became most anxious. Alas, they lamented, without a leader we are surely doomed. Indra, however, valiantly released himself from the network of arrows engulfing him. His flag fluttered triumphantly, and his 1,000 horses pulled with renewed vigor as Matali expertly steered his chariot. The gods sighed with relief to see their leader emerging, radiant like the rising sun. Indra surveyed the battlefield, and seeing his army sorely beleaguered by the enemy, he became furious. Determined to kill his foes, he raised his thunderbolt and hurled it at Bala and Paka, severing their heads. Their followers trembled in fear and wailed, "Alas, who can stop Indra?" Namuchi saw his relatives fall and, howling with grief and anger, rushed at Indra, determined to kill him. Roaring like a lion, Namuchi released an ornamented steel spear. "Die, Indra, die!" Indra turned just in time to see the deadly spear streaking toward him like a blazing meteor. He at once fired several arrows and cut the weapon to pieces. Taking up his thunderbolt, he hurled it at Namuchi's neck. To Indra's shock and dismay, the thunderbolt did not even scratch Namuchi's skin. "How is this possible?" he exclaimed. "Previously my thunderbolt slew the stupendous Vritrasur, yet despite hurling it with all my force, it has not even slightly harmed Namuchi." A shiver of fear ran down Indra's spine. How had the Asura resisted his most potent weapon? Might he possess some miraculous superpower? Indra turned pale. Surya, who was nearby, called out, "What's wrong, Indra?" Indra said, "Do you remember the flying mountains of long ago? How they would fall to the ground, killing many people, so I used my thunderbolt to cut off their wings." "Yes, of course," replied Surya. "Why, I even killed Vritrasur, who was empowered with Twasta's austerity. Indeed, I have killed many stalwart, unstoppable heroes with my thunderbolt." "This is hardly the time for reminiscing, Indra," replied Surya. "What's your point?" Indra looked at him in bafflement. "Namuchi is an insignificant general among the Asuras. Why is it my thunderbolt has been ineffectual against him?" "Don't give it up so quickly," urged Surya. "Try again." Indra shook his head. "I used to think of my thunderbolt as equal to Lord Brahma's weapon, but I now see it as useless as an ordinary stick." "I shall not hurl it again." Surya persisted. You can't just give it up. Our forces will lose all heart." Indra sank to the chariot's floor, holding his head in his hand. Suddenly a voice boomed out from above. "Protected by my boon, Namuchi cannot be killed by anything dry or moist." Indra and gods looked around but could not see the source of the voice, which continued, "Indra, you must find another way to kill him." Indra became hopeful. The Asur was not destructible. He just had to find a weapon which was neither dry nor moist. He thought at once of foam that was neither dry or moist. Chanting the appropriate mantras, he summoned a mystical foam weapon and hurled it at Namuchi, severing his head. Surya applauded him. "Bravo, Indra." Greatly relieved, the sages, observing the battle from above, showered Indra with flowers, and some even descended to garland him. Vishwavasu and Paravasu, two chief Gandharvas, could be heard singing in great joy while other celestials beat drums. Many beautiful Apsaras appeared in the sky, dancing jubilantly. Vayu, Agni, Varun, and other gods fought with renewed vigor, cutting down their opponents like lions, killing deer. Watching from the sky, Brahma became concerned that the gods would annihilate the Asuras to a man. He called Narad. "Go there immediately and tell Indra to stop the fight." Descending swiftly, Narad hovered just above the combatants. "Stop fighting, cease." Indra and other gods looked up in surprise, their weapons raised, while the remaining Asuras quickly fled. Why? Asked Indra. We are winning, Narad called back. All of you gods are protected by Narayan. By his grace, you have already drunk the nectar of immortality. The goddess of fortune has also blessed you to enjoy prosperity. You do not need to kill all the Asuras. They pose no further threat to you. Indra conferred with Surya and the other chief gods. They decided that since Narad was Krishna's pure devotee, it was best to obey him. Sheathing their weapons, they returned to Amravati, followed by a host of Gandharvas and Apsaras celebrating their victory. Spotting Bali lying mortally wounded on the battlefield, Narada hurried after his few surviving soldiers. Stop fleeing, there is no more danger. When they finally stopped, Narad ordered them to return to the battlefield. Your king Bali is in a precarious condition. Carry him immediately to Astagiri hill. You will find Shukra there. He will restore him to health. Indeed, take all the slain warriors who have not lost their heads and limbs, and he will revive them with the Sanjeevani, a mantra known only to him. A few days later, by Shukra's grace, Bali was fully recovered and he remembered all that had occurred. He visited the bedsides of some of his recuperating generals only to find them depressed about the defeat at the gods' hands. Bali shook his head disapprovingly. My dear Asuras, why are you lamenting so? Have you understood anything about universal affairs? Don't you know that nothing happens about the Supreme Lord's sanction? Parikshit sat in enthralled silence. Truly, Krishna's activities were astonishing. Although he can do everything without effort, to enjoy pastimes with his devotees and to teach us valuable lessons, he arranges such grand dramas. Parikshit asked Shukadev, My lord, pray tell me what happened to Rahu's disembodied head after he sipped a drop of the celestial elixir. Ah, yes, Rahu's head, said the sage with a smile. Touched by the nectar, it became immortal. Lord Brahma therefore accepted it as a planet. Since Rahu is an eternal enemy of the sun and moon, he always tries to attack them on the nights of full and dark moons. So we'll continue reading from chapter 12 next time. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.